actually once. Yeah, we're live. That's cool. And so cool. Thank you. Nice. We are streaming live. This is the Hake Report. I am James Hake. We're not going to kick in for another 5 minutes with the official topic of the show. Hey, my hair is like spiky again right now. Thanks, Dylan. But I wanted to just start early like I usually do on Sundays. Thank you guys. Thank you for joining. Everybody in the YouTube live chat. D Live, I think that it's working. I saw that Mixer is working. Yeah, D Live. Periscope. Shout out to everybody. And of course, I am streaming on Twitch. I should be anyways. I'll just double check that. And what else am I missing? Am I missing anything? I don't think so. Twitch, D Live. Let me just check my thing. So I just want to read a little bit of news to you. A real quick news update about this sick abortionist doctor. He's dead now. I got this from Clash Daily and Daily Mail. News report. Dead abortion doctor, he's white, preserved 2,200 some baby body parts in his home. And this took place in Indiana or Illinois. I saw that the South Bend Tribune or something covered it. Relatives discovered it after this man died. He was in his 70s, I would say. Early to mid 70s. Died early. He was suspended as an abortion doctor in 2016 or so, at the age of 71 or so, having killed babies since 1973. And the stuff that they got him on was like a lack of paperwork and not giving anesthesia or whatever to women who couldn't pay for it. or anybody underage, he would give it to them. But he was giving abortions to people 14 years old, even a 10-year-old. He gave an abortion to a 10-year-old whose parents brought her to him, and allegedly she was pregnant by her uncle, and the parents did not want to report the uncle, and so he didn't report it either. Isn't that interesting? But he volunteered that story. He wasn't even charged in that one. He volunteered that story. I guess he was bragging about, I just follow what the people want. Something like that. Yes, I am on Facebook. Thank you, Joelle. Should be on Facebook. Shout out to you guys. It's nice to be streaming on Facebook because Jesse Lee Peterson's show is censored on Facebook and on Twitch because those people hate the truth. It's not just that they hate free speech, they hate truth. True speech they hate. But anyways, back to this guy. It's kind of like another Kermit Gosnell or something like that. Remember Kermit Gosnell, the black one from Philadelphia? Well, this guy is white. He was doing abortions in South Bend. He was like the most prolific abortion doctor in the state of either Indiana. I would think it would be Indiana as opposed to Illinois, but I think he worked in both places, Indiana and Illinois. And he said that he never got complaints about his work, which his methods were from the 70s and 80s. He never changed his methods after the 70s and 80s. I guess it worked for him. But it's really evil stuff. And he was, I don't know, I think that it's just the tip of the iceberg. I think that the female doctors are maybe even worse than the males. And they, these guys that so-called break the rules and stuff, that's just kind of a distraction from the real issue, which is abortion is pure evil. Anyways, we do have our anonymous matching donors for up to $50,000 up for the rest of September, so do donate. Thank you guys for already donating. And shout out to Bubs Love. I think it was Bubs Love. Thebond.fund. You type that in. I'll do it right now. Thebond.fund. And it redirects to the Bond Building Fund for GoFundMe. Thank you. Appreciate that. Or just go to rebuildingtheman.com or jesseleepeterson.com. Scroll down and you'll see all the info for how to support. You don't have to do it through GoFundMe, but it is excellent. Thank you guys already. 8,000 already on GoFundMe. That's going to help us move and relocate, and hopefully we'll own rather than rent. And then the globalists who want to build a bunch of Section 8 and increase the traffic and tear down historic buildings and build up apartment buildings and all that stuff. It's a mess. Hopefully they won't be able to control us. That would be nice. I mean, they can't control us anyways, but we'll get it all worked out. So thank you guys, and I think it's time for me to start the full-on show about these dumb Dems. Listen to this.
If you couldn't get it done after Sandy Hook, why should voters give you another chance?
Because it got done before.
Poor Joe Biden.
Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
Good morning, guys. I'm going to be talking about creepy Joe Biden, I should say sleepy Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, cackling Kamala, and Big Beto, talking all big, like he's tough, like he's a punk rock, but he's just trendy.
Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
So, hey guys, you can join in by calling 888-775-3773. 888-775-3773. Trying to say it a little bit differently because what Jesse does, he goes 888-775-3773. Anyways, it is Sunday, September 15th, 2019. Tomorrow is what? Mexican Independence Day? I think that's when we're going to start the hearings, I think. The tent hearings. I could be wrong. Over in I'm going to show it again. Over in Texas, South Texas, by the Rio Grande River, they are going to start hearings, I've heard. And I thought that they were slated for September 16th, which is Mexican Independence Day. Because there are so-called wannabe refugees, they're really illegal aliens, invaders, who want to come into the country, and we have a remain in Mexico policy, so a sort of a remain in Mexico policy, so some of them are waiting in Mexico, and then we'll open up these tents just on the other side of the Rio Grande River, on our side, and the judges, I think the judges are going to be on television from teleconferencing from San Antonio or something into these tents where these illegals are going to be coming in to hear whether they can come in, and then they'll find out whether they can hang out here while they wait or no, or stay or go. And so Trump is plugging and plugging and plugging, just like the Democrats are pushing and pushing and pushing their stupid gun control propaganda and laws and all that stuff. I want to say another word. But he is making it happen just by pushing and pushing and pushing. And even the liberal media is admitting that he's pretty relentless in his push for sanity at the border. So that's really nice. I'll talk a little bit more about that. But you know, on Friday, it was quite a week. On Friday, I interviewed that commie, not the Soviet kind. He wanted to qualify that he's not a Soviet commie. Ben Burgess, the guest, I had an interview guest for the first time in a little while on my show. Shout out to Dylon, thank you. Ben Burgess, who was previously on the Jesse Lee Peterson show, I talked to him. So I didn't get to talk about the Dem debates that happened, I think that was the night before. I didn't get to talk a whole lot about them, the Democrat debates. And I watched chunks of the Democrat debates. I didn't see the part live of Beto, when Beto made his anti-gun mess. That interview did go on for hours. Oh, that interview. I thought he was talking about the debate. So, yeah, I could have gone longer with Ben Burgess. but the Democrat debate, it went, I think it was 5 hours. I could be wrong, but it went forever. And so I missed the part where Beto said, heck yes. He didn't say heck, right? But he said, heck yes, we're going to take your AR-15, your AK-47, and the crowd goes wild. And so CNN made sure to push that notification to me. Oh yeah, they're so excited about what he said, because CNN hates the Second Amendment. They hate America. They hate Trump. If you hate Trump, you hate America, right? So I have some clips for you. Let me just bring up a little bit more though, background. So I have I could have gotten many more clips too, to be honest. Julian Castro, these people were speaking Spanish, kissing up to the Hispanics. I hope that no Republican does that. Actually, I don't really anticipate any Republican debate happening. Do you? There are multiple rhinos running against Trump, trying to primary him, or really just trying. They know they're not going to primary him. They're just trying to get their name out as never Trumpers, because they're kiss-ups to the liberals and to nonsense. They're fakes. But by the way, what also happened this week? PewDiePie, he's a big YouTuber, decent-sized YouTuber, 100 million subscribers. He donated to the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League, which is a very defamatory organization. They love to hate Christians, whites, Americans, people that love America, nationalists, men. They hate men. Notably, they know that this doesn't really mean white power. That's one good thing about them. But they do think that globalists, or at least the Greenblatt or something like that, the guy who's in charge of the ADL, or running it, or head of it, he thinks that the term globalist is an anti-Semitic term, slur. I guess he's admitting that most Jewish people fall for the globalist stuff and push that stuff. Anyways, but PewDiePie, to his credit, retracted that donation. He donated like $50,000 to the ADL, and then he retracted it. That's what I heard. And I saw his video about his retraction. He's all, by the way, I wanted to give to a charity, and I was advised that I should do this to kind of quell the alt-right, because he's being accused of being alt-right, or something stupid, right? Because he makes funny jokes about nodding when he's watching Hitler speak and stuff like that. It's funny stuff, making fun of the taboo topics, which is what Generation Z and Generation X, well, not Gen X too much, but Gen Y do. Gen X probably, Gen X is Beto. So Beto is he's like the worst example of a Gen X. Anyways, he retracted his donation. That's good. Good for you, PewDiePie. Shouldn't have listened to whoever that was that told you. And some people think that he was playing 4D chess, meaning like he was geniusly bringing attention to how nasty and evil the ADL is. But who knows? I tend to believe his story. He says that he was busy with getting married and stuff. He married some YouTuber woman that he's been girlfriends with for a while. And so I tend to believe him because he was busy with that, getting 100 million subscribers. He's Swedish. He's not even American, so he doesn't know about the ADL. And so I tend to believe that he just took that advice. And so now he's gonna give to a charity later on that he actually believes in himself, not something that he heard was good. So that's good. Anyways, let me get to Kamala. Speaking of nasty people, I have this clip where Kamala is talking about Trump on trade, right? And then she trashes him as a little man, basically, a really small dude. And here, let me just play this for you.
You know, he reminds me of that guy in The Wizard of Oz. You know, when you pull back the curtain, it's a really small dude.
She's trying to be like Obama with her straight face and smart remarks, which are really dumb remarks. So Kamala has done this before. She and the headlines are that she attacked his manhood. Meaning she gave this, it's actually kind of a nasty, underhanded, dirty statement of her to say that. Referencing like sexuality and stuff like that. Nonsense. So, she also previously in an interview was talking about Trump, who Trump referenced his crowd size or something like that. And she's all, I'll leave that to somebody else to diagnose him on his obsession with size. Something stupid like that. So she's a gross woman. Nasty. But I showed you guys her acting like she had this straight face. Well, she couldn't contain herself. She had to laugh at her own joke. And so I have a couple clips where she's like laughing at her own jokes, cackling like a hen. Or worse. Who's this? And I just noticed that Bernie Sanders is not impressed. He's just trying to bring the debate back to like his points. So he missed the joke or whatever. Anyways, he's not laughing. You heard George Stephanopoulos laughing too, because George Stephanopoulos is a kiss up. He's a Clinton guy. Kissed up to Hillary and Bill, and now he's kissing up to the liberals. And here's her laughing even harder, but it's like silent, and then you hear her going, ew. Listen to this. Just 1 second.
There is a reason.
She's all looking around. So I just wanted to show that to you. These Democrats are dumb. Dum Dems. Cackling uncontrollably. So, it gets worse. Here's Big Beto. And I say big because he talks big. He plays like he's big. But he hates our Second Amendment. He hates America. I see him as a punk because you guys know that he's been pushing this F word all the time and SH word in front of the media cameras. Acting like acting like he's the voice of the common sense people or something. And he just has to cuss because he's the only sane one in an insane world. Meanwhile, like, he's the one that should be institutionalized. He should be like the first one institutionalized because he's got issues. He's kind of pulling remember during the 2016 elections when that guy, little Marco Rubio, which, I don't want to insult him, but he acted like he wanted to attack Trump. And so he's started trying to insult Trump with Trump type of insults. And he's all laughing and proud of himself. And it just didn't fit. It's not him. That's not how Marco Rubio is, maybe behind closed doors, but he's usually presents himself like a phony politician. And then he went from phony politician to phony wannabe Trump. And it just didn't work. That's how I see Beto, kind of. Because Beto O'Rourke, Robert Francis O'Rourke, trying to be like Mexican or something. And I don't know if he is part. But he has this punk rock background, I think. And he used to be a skater. But he also wants to double dip and be a cool politician, too. So he's cussing on camera and trying to cuss at the reporters and say, you guys really believe this stuff? Referring to, like, I don't know, bashing Trump and stuff like that. Well, here he is saying another, like, cuss word, kind of saying, hell yes. That's kind of a cuss word, right? Trying to be like a down-to-earth cool guy. So here's Beto saying, hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15, your AK-47, and the crowd goes wild. Watch this.
Hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15, your AK-47.
So I should give you the lead up and the follow up, just so you guys know I'm fair. So he starts off this ABC News reporter. Credit to ABC News for all these clips. But this ABC News hosted the debate. So this reporter guy, anchor guy, I forget what his name was, but he asked him, "Are you for confiscating guns?" And he said, "I am." And then, of course, the crowd got excited when he said, "I am." And he said, and then he started to qualify for weapons of war, something stupid like that. We should have weapons of war. That's what the Second Amendment was for. We're supposed to have weapons of war so that we can not be like debilitated with cap guns against a huge government attacking us. And people claim that, oh, if you have that, then the government could just nuke you. No, they're not going to nuke you. Somebody made a good point about that, another YouTuber. The government's not going to nuke its own people, unless it's like really crazy. But the people should be armed for many reasons. And actually, if the people were armed, many of these mass shootings wouldn't take place. If more people were armed in Walmart, say, and all that. If more people were armed in Fort Hood, if people didn't have to check in their guns. That was Fort Hood, you know that mass shooting where a Muslim guy went and killed a bunch of soldiers and people in Fort Hood? That was a gun-free zone. You didn't know that, huh? Well, maybe you guys did. But that's a gun-free zone. People had to check in their guns. Only the guards had guns. So there you go. And then all these schools, gun-free zones. If the people were armed, they wouldn't go to, they wouldn't have any ducks in a barrel locations. And then you hear people like Pierce Morgan saying, or you would have a big shootout like at the OK Corral. Yeah, no. Most mass shooters want to live or want to wreak the most havoc in ducks in a barrel situations where the people are defenseless. He can shoot them up and then surrender or get killed, whatever. But at least he's killed more people. Not so with when we have an actual real gun culture. But they've taken away the gun culture. They've brainwashed people, as that AG, Attorney General for Obama, the first one, the one that did Fast and Furious. I'm blanking on his name. You guys know who I'm talking about, maybe, most of you. That guy was like, we should brainwash people about guns. He was mixed race black, I think. He had a mustache. He's the one that said, when they go down, when they're down, we kick them. Something like that. When they go low, we go high? No. When they go low, we kick them. He's now running like redistricting or something like that over somewhere. Trying to turn Texas blue and all that stuff. Man, I'm blanking on that guy's name. Who's the AG for Obama? You guys know. It's probably already in the live chat. Let me look. I don't see it. Hold on. I'm going to pull it up right now. Anyways, whatever. You know who I'm talking about. I can't believe I'm blanking on his name. Eric Holder, thank you. Anyways, Joel doesn't know. He's not into politics. So, they've been going after the guns forever. And they're making their headway because they're brainwashing the people. And so he's... afterwards, after he said, hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15, your AK-47 to big applause, he's all, now you're not going to be able to kill fellow Americans anymore with it. But that just means that we're going to be ducks in a barrel for the Muslims because they're going to get weapons, automatic weapons included. Maybe we should undo the ban on fully automatic weapons. Just suggestion. Because the Mexicans have the fully automatic. A lot of the black gang members have the fully automatic. And the police and military do too. Why not the people? But anyways, you know, the good people. So we're going to be ducks in a barrel for the terrorists, the drug cartels, and all that stuff. And so he doesn't care about that. He's like well protected now. Because he's a public figure, so he's making a lot of money and notoriety by talking big and pushing for mess. He is a punk, not the cool kind. He's like the trendy wannabe kind. And he claims that he met people that are willing to surrender their guns because these are weapons of war. They're not just for hunting and stuff. As if the Second Amendment is about hunting. Stupid. Anyways, that's him. Joe Biden also pushing gun control. And I opened up with this clip from Joe Biden. Let's go ahead and play that again. He has trouble with his quote-unquote teeth.
If you couldn't get it done after Sandy Hook, why should voters give you another chance?
Because it got done before.
This poor guy. So I don't want to laugh too hard because I think this may have happened with Trump, because Trump has talked before where he's given a statement and then like 15 minutes in, his speech gets kind of muffled. But but Joe Biden is lying through his teeth, so I can make fun of him for this. Lying through his teeth, get it? His dentures, he has like dentures or something. They're almost falling out. And so like leading up, I don't want to use too long of a clip. That's why I'm not showing you the whole thing. But leading up to it, as this ABC reporter is giving his lead up to the question, you see Joe Biden going like this. Like he's chewing gum, but really he's chewing his gums. He's like trying to manipulate because he knows that, oh boy, they came loose. The dentures, the fake teeth. So that's Joe Biden. Here, let me play out just once more, the part B for you guys, just so you can hear the muffledness. Before. He's like manipulating his mouth. Lying.
Because it got done before.
That's Joe Biden. There were other embarrassing things. Like I said, the Democrats speaking Spanish. Julian Castro on stage. He has a nice voice, though. But everything he says is dumb and evil. Cory Booker trying to whip up passion or something like that. Trying to convince you that he's genuine or something like that. Bernie Sanders sounded awful. I don't have any clips about him, but he had a major frog in his throat. He should have just sat it out, said, hey, Tulsi Gabbard, you sit in for me. Because he sounded worse than Joe Biden, and Joe Biden sounded awful. But Bernie Sanders he sounded terrible. Those guys, Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders, they belong in, like, seriously, retirement, rest home, or something. They do not belong on the public square. It's funny how energetic Trump is compared to these guys, because Trump is about their age, a little younger, I think. But these guys don't have it together in their personal lives, much less their politics is evil. So that Hawaiian Tulsi Gabbard, I referenced her, ex-conservative. She used to be not that much pro-gay because her family wasn't. But now she kisses up to the gays and the blacks. She kisses up to the fake racism thing called Trump racist. So she's not that interesting, to be honest, contrary to how people treat her. And I'm talking about the more independent-minded people. Because the mainstream people shut her out completely. And the ones who made it on stage for the Democrat debates this past Thursday night, they're worse than her. But she's not that good. Do I like her on foreign policy? I guess that's her thing. Like, I can't see any. Let's say if so-called sexism exists, then Mother Nature and God and most human beings are sexist. Nobody's going to take her seriously. The natural way of things, like, she's the one that kneeled before her fiancé to propose to him or something like that, her boyfriend or something, trying to say, will you marry me? So, no, I don't take her seriously on this, just because she's not for, reckless attacks on Syria and all that stuff. Because we have all these crazy wars that all these, like, George W. Bush turned out not to be a good president, especially bad because, like, he proved himself bad, if you had any doubt, when he didn't vote for Trump. The Bushes are lame. and Clinton and all those people, Hillary, Obama, all those people pushed crazy wars that, and they had the Democrats especially. I don't know how Tulsi is, but the rules of engagement gets Americans killed. Obama's rules of engagement were so bad, and I don't know what all he was doing, but the death toll on Americans after Bush increased. Like he got so many Americans killed. And so I don't support her on that part. I think that Trump is generally doing it right. You know, he fired John Bolton. Or Joe Bolton said, I didn't get fired, I quit. But I tend to trust Trump more than her. So she's irrelevant because we already have Trump. We don't even need to consider her. So, oh, and let's not forget, or let's try and forget, Andrew Yang, the little Asian guy who should go back to China, wherever he came from. Look at this. I noticed this right just now. Named 2015 Presidential Ambassador for Global Entrepreneurship by the Obama administration. If he was named anything by the Obama administration, then I don't trust him. I mean, he's a Democrat already. And he's fake. He's giving away free money. Fake money. It is fake money, too. But he's giving away... This is him. I don't have the clip. But he announced that he's doing a contest where you can... He's going to give away $1,000 a month to 10 families for a year. His campaign. And there's question on whether it's legal, but whatever. He's doing a little contest, and he wants the people to say what they would do with their $1,000. Freedom dividend. Basically, redistribution of wealth. What a mess. And these people, by the way, they love and they're counting on the white decline. I have this little headline thing, I think, in there. Little graph showing how all the Hispanics and blacks and multiracial, more than one group, diversity, and others, non-whites, are increasing big time, more than the overrepresentation. They're overrepresented. So it's fake. These people love the downfall of the white people. So that's what they're counting on. That's why you hear them speaking Spanish. They take the blacks for granted because the blacks are so dumb that they don't know that they're being taken for granted. And some of them do know, but they still support what's wrong. And so that's why Jesse's show is so important, because he's getting the truth out to everybody. So, and this anti-gun stuff, you know, Beto and Biden pushing this stuff, and then I will get to your calls. It's, they're hammering away, like I said at the beginning of the show. They're pushing this gun control stuff, and pushing gun control, by the way, is corporate. It's not punk rock, Beto. It's mainstream idiocy. It's not independent thinking, Beto. So you can take your hell yes and F words and SH words and all that stuff. CNN, by the way, didn't bleep him one time. He gave an interview, and they were in their studio and everything. I don't know if he was in studio, but he gave this interview and he's all it's effed up, talking about the mass shootings. And they didn't bleep him. They shared it. They were like, "Oh, so happy that we have a presidential candidate cussing and supporting gun control." Because they don't like. It's not just lack of class that they like. They also like the worst thing that you can support, which is taking away the Second Amendment. Because they're already doing away with the First Amendment, doxing people and trying to shame people. Because people don't believe in free speech anymore. They now believe in hate speech. If you believe in hate speech, you don't believe in free speech. Anyways, let me get to some calls. RC, out of South Carolina. RC, you've been waiting on hold for a while. Thank you for holding.
Hey, what's up, James?
Hey, good to hear from you.
Hey, I was calling to say I watched a little bit of those Dem debates, and I was thinking when I was watching it, you know, I don't know if you noticed this, I'm sure you did, but not one of them have any solutions.
Yeah.
They just talk about problems, but then there's no follow-up question of, okay, we're going to take the guns.
Yep.
Okay, how are you going to take them? What are you going to do? Where's this coming from? Oh, we're going to have gun buybacks. But they're not telling people. I mean, that's not going to happen. Supposedly there's 600-something million guns in the U.S. legally owned.
Yeah. More
All
guns
right,
than
so
people.
Let's say, yeah, so you do, and they're not going to give you.
We're not an island. It's not even possible. It shouldn't happen. Say that again.
I said most nice ARs, good, top brands are over $1,000.
Yeah.
And they're talking about giving people $250 or $300. So I said, best case scenario, you do $500, right? That's like, I did the math. That's like $5 trillion.
Yeah. That is
crazy. Where are they going to come up with that?
That's a good.
They don't have money for the wall, but they got money to buy all the guns back.
$250 won't even cover like a decent pistol, like a decent revolver, or halfway decent revolver.
Heck no.
They're not for they're anti-freedom. They're really not. They don't care about these people's lives. They don't. It's just mess. And this guy that I was interviewing, what's his name? Ben Burgess.
Who
the commie?
That goofball the other day?
Yes. Yeah, the commie.
Oh, that poor guy. You got to pray for him.
He was talking about, well, you don't see these gun violence in other countries that don't have guns. Of course you don't. But I'm willing to deal with that because I'm willing to hey, you have to. They also don't have the amount of black crime that we have. They don't have the so-called diversity. They don't have the Mexicans coming in. They don't have all that stuff. And yeah, they don't have like the when their whites go nuts, they do like stabbing attacks, truck attacks.
Yeah.
Their Muslims do the truck attacks and stuff. And actually, their Muslims also sometimes come in with guns. So this gun stuff. They want to be like everybody's mom and just protect people from themselves. And basically they're saying that you're not trustworthy with a gun. That's basically what they're doing, what they're saying. You're not trustworthy with
level of elitism.
Yeah.
That they think they're it's just like with the black people and with all minorities. What they don't understand because they say it in a different way, but what they're saying is, I'm smarter than you, I'm better than you, I'm more capable than you, I make more money than you, and basically, you can't do anything for yourself. So just let me handle everything because you're so dumb that you can't even handle basic freedoms. So I'll give you a place to live, I'll give you this, I'll tell you what you can do, I'll assign you a job or give you money if you don't want to work. And you can just grovel at my feet and ask me for extra gold shillings like they did back in the old English days with like kings and queens, medieval times. But the other thing about the Dems that I wanted to say was just this last thing was that a lot of them they don't really run on a real platform.
Right.
Like you were talking about Tulsi Gabbard, who I think makes a lot of sense, but I don't really think she's a real Democrat. I don't believe half the stuff she says. I don't think she really believes in it.
Okay.
But
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I think she's just saying it just because she's running on the Democratic platform and she needs their support. But I think she'd be the safest one in office. I don't think she'd enact on this stuff. I don't think she'd really confiscate guns. But anyways, what I was getting into was they don't really run on a real platform of solutions or anything, and they don't even really have their own ideas.
Yeah.
All they do is they take what Trump says and they just say that's bad, and they say the opposite, like abortions. Abortion is, generally bad.
Yeah.
But the opposite of abortion, which is making every single woman who ever gets pregnant have a child, isn't necessarily good because, there are cases where women are raped and things like that. But they never say that. It's just one way. It has to be all abortions all the time, women's body, their body, their choice, or it's no abortions at all. And I don't really see anybody making any sense coming together and just, making stipulations of, okay, if you are raped, you need to report the rape immediately. And if you report the rape immediately, normally, you have a forensics analysis done, and normally the doctors will give you contraceptive right there on the spot.
I know, that's a shame. They shouldn't do that. That's so wrong, man. I appreciate it, RC. Take care, man.
All right, later, James.
All right. I'm not for abortion whatsoever, basically, because I know I'm vaguely friends with the mother of someone who claims to have been raped. So she was so-called raped at a park, and she went to the police, and the police gave her basically the morning after pill, the abortion pill, to kill the baby, if there was going to be a baby, right? And so that's evil. They shouldn't be doing that. Why do we have cops giving abortion pills to people who were so-called raped? That's so wrong. That's so nasty. And did you know that they do that? That's crazy. And I'm not for abortion whatsoever. Let me tell you a little bit about these corporations and states like New Jersey. New Jersey, I think that's where that guy who was moving from Colorado to New Jersey, he had just gone through a divorce. Jesse Lee Peterson's interviewed him a couple of times. I'm blanking on his name. But he was moving after a divorce, transporting his guns and everything. He called ahead, made sure that he was doing everything by the book. And, they weren't really clear with him, but he had his stuff locked away, proper, everything. His mother's worried about him, so she calls the cops on him, and the cops stop him. She thinks he's suicidal or something stupid. So they stop his truck, they search his truck, and they find the gun. They arrest him, charge him with like a felony or something like that. I don't know what. And he goes to prison. Stupid judge, right? Activist judges, liberals, in New Jersey. Later on, it's such a mess, right? And so later on, the governor, Chris Christie at the time, rhino, nice guy, but rhino, sometimes not nice, fat guy, he commutes his sentence or something, lets him out. But this man wants a full pardon. Or something. He wants his record wiped clean or something like that. Because he still had like a felony on his record. And so I forget who got rid of that. Maybe, I don't know if it was Trump or what, but I think years later it finally got taken care of. And he was separated from his child. He couldn't see his child. And, to the big towel people's point, he was basically treated so unjustly because of guns, divorce, and all that stuff. I'm not for divorce, but it's a reality of life, and this guy got treated unfairly in that case too. So, of course, right, the men usually do. It's anti-men. I noticed even the anti-man stuff with this guy, this abortion doctor. So anyways, that's New Jersey. New Jersey has these crazy things where they attack people, anybody with a gun. They're after you. You're guilty. Like blacks at the mall. Guilty. No, I'm kidding. Anyway, so New Jersey is so evil. Now, according to Drudge, I read this past week or so, New Jersey is to pressure banks and retailers who do business with basically gun manufacturers and gun salespeople. The National Review reports, Rhino outlet, but useful information in this case. New Jersey will refuse to do business with banks and retailers that resist stricter gun control measures. So they're doing anything that they can to infringe on the Second Amendment, infringe on the fundamental right to keep and bear arms, which is to own and carry good quality guns, weapons of war. So New Jersey's Democratic governor, Phil Murphy, is expected to sign an executive order Tuesday, I think that happened already, that would leverage the state's purchasing power to coerce gun retailers, manufacturers, and financial institutions to comply with a more stringent gun control regime. So by executive order, I got a pen and I got a phone. That's Obama, right? Obama couldn't even get gun control done. But they're hammering it so bad, and people are getting more and more brainwashed, and the young brainwashed people are coming of voting age, so they're going to get what they want if we don't hammer back at them, like how Trump keeps on hammering for the border. And he's making headway, by the way. So these people, listen to this. Look at this. Under the executive order, the state of New Jersey, which purchases an estimated $70 million in firearms and related equipment annually, so the state purchases all that, will refuse to do business with gun manufacturers and retailers that lack policies that deny guns with a history of mental illness, so never admit to mental illness, guys and gals, or so-called domestic abuse. Domestic abuse, anybody could be accused of domestic abuse. That's when a man and a woman are living together, whether they're married or not, and they get in a fight, whoever cries domestic abuse first, and in some cases, even then, the man is usually the one stung with that false accusation, and found guilty by liberal judges, activist judges, female-oriented rhino judges. Kavanaugh. I'm making fun of Kavanaugh. I saw that it was trending. Kavanaugh lied. # Kavanaugh lied on Twitter. And I'm wondering, what did Kavanaugh lie about? They want to impeach him. And he is a rhino. He is kind of kissing up to the women. So he kind of gets what he deserves. But anyways, he was treated very badly when they falsely accused him of all kinds of rape and all kinds of madness. But anyways, speaking of this anti-male thing, domestic abuse is a slur against any man that fights back when a woman hits him or whatever. So that's according to the New York Times, that they're going after people with a history of mental illness and domestic abuse. But hey, mentally ill people don't commit crimes. Angry people do. It's even according to a liberal professor woman or researcher woman, psychologist, psychiatrist type of a woman, a doctor, expert. So you should listen to your own experts rather than stigmatize mental illness. They're stigmatizing mental illness, taking away the guns of people who may have PTSD. I told you they're going after the veterans. Retailers that wish to keep the state's business will be required to prevent, detect, and screen the transfer of firearms to straw purchases or firearm traffickers. More paperwork crap. Just basically slowing down and overwhelming the people. Murphy's order, that's this Phil Murphy, Democrat, will also deny roughly $1 billion in financial transaction fees that the state pays annually to banks that have relationships with gun manufacturers and retailers that adhere to permissive policies. So they're going after you guys. New Jersey already has strict gun control laws in place that require retailers to perform background checks, but the new policy will apply to out-of-state companies that are not bound by the New Jersey laws, which those laws are unconstitutional. My Constitution. A number of major financial institutions have already announced that they will cease loaning money to gun manufacturers and retailers that don't comply with prescribed age limit and background check requirements. And they've been doing this forever. PayPal, I think, Square, you know that slider thing? Small businesses use these things, by the way. So they're targeting small businesses. They don't care about the people. Speaking of the people that are, there are some people who run small businesses in the vape field, and Trump supposedly wants to ban vapes, or at least the flavored e-cigarettes, stuff like that, because it hurts kids. That's going to kill small businesses, was one good point that was made. Well, these are going to kill small businesses, and these small businesses that do this gun stuff, They are like some of the most responsible people regarding guns and sales and all that stuff. They're very responsible. And so there's this company called Square. It was the first one that I knew of, that I had heard of, where you plug it into the headphones jack, this little thing, and you can slide your credit card and charge people. And PayPal has it, Square. Those guys have all gone after the gun. Anybody who manufactures guns or sells guns, you're not allowed to do business with them. So blacklisting. The commies, you know how the communists during the Red Scare got blacklisted in Hollywood and stuff? They couldn't get a job. They couldn't get work because they're communists. Well, they're doing back worse what supposedly was done to them. They're treating the free people, the decent people, the good people, the gun people, like they're slime, when they're the ones who are slime, not the gun people. Some banks have decided not only to refuse to lend money to weapons manufacturers, but also to impose restrictions on business clients who sell guns. Just have to sell guns. Nope. Putting restrictions. Banks are even exploring ways to monitor cardholders' gun purchases, possibly a prelude to far more intrusive measures directed against individual customers rather than retail clients. So, buy your guns in cash, I guess. Crazy. It's all about control. By the way, and then I will get to your calls, 888-775-3773. I told you guys, I think it was Wednesday or Thursday, about this pastor guy who committed suicide, 30 years old, father of 2 beautiful white baby boys. They're not babies anymore, but they're young boys, towheads. I have a picture of them, I think. He married, beautiful family, beautiful wife, beautiful white baby boys. They're young guys. And but he was miserable. He so-called struggled with depression and mental illness, I think, and suicidal thoughts all the time. And I told you about his preaching style and stuff. Well, he had this pinned tweet at the top of his Twitter. And this tweet was about love and what love is, or what love is not, I don't know. And it references that 1 Corinthians 13:1, blah, 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 that is always read at weddings, Christian weddings anyways. Maybe not always, but oftentimes read at weddings. That if I have all knowledge and blah, 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 but don't have love, I am nothing. I am nothing but a clanging gong or a crashing cymbal. Basically, or if I have prophecy and stuff like that, if I heal the sick, I don't think it says heal the sick, but if I give away all I have to the poor but have no love, it's like this whole section about love. And all the good things that you may do, but you don't have love, you're still nothing. Well, it's a nice verse, but I just want to show his preaching style, and notice his earrings. He has like earrings in both ears. I noticed the glint. And at first you can see the tweet in this clip. So you'll see the tweet. You see it's a pinned tweet from 2016. And he just died on Monday, I think, killed himself, according to his wife. Who knows what really happened? I still haven't found out the cause of death. But anyways, here's this clip of him preaching.
Something really interesting in the beginning of this passage in 1 Corinthians that I love. Something that sticks out to me says that without love, we are nothing but a clanging gong or crashing cymbal. We all have the tendency, including myself, when we see something we disagree with or don't like and we want to give our opinion, the tendency is just to say whatever we want and make our point, and a lot of times we find our opinions and our actions and our responses lacking love.
Just wanted to show you what he's a little bit like. So, I don't know. I don't think that... It's kind of a shallow point. Yes, people get overexcited about politics. And so he's making the point about politics. But I don't think that's deep enough. But anyways, here's more of him.
When you have an opinion about something, Well, my opinion on Donald Trump is, and it's done without love, this is what you sound like. Oh yeah, well my opinion on Hillary Clinton is...
I don't know. That's how that's how his whole sermon kind of sounds to me. But anyways, here's like I'll show you the rest of it. Here's the rest of his.
Well, my
little clip.
opinion on marriage is. Well, my opinion on immigration and gun control and religion and everything else I can think of is. If it is not done in love, this is what people will hear.
He makes a decent point, but I don't think that it's like, I don't think that he really knew what love was, because if he did, he wouldn't have killed himself. That's just my theory, and I think it's true. And so this guy, such a shame. I got a little bit of pushback from people that, there was one girl that commented under that episode when I talked about him and how he was promoting all this stuff, and he, you know, I made the point that he was kissing up to the whole term illegal aliens sounds so bad. You shouldn't, it sounds so he didn't say dehumanizing. I think he said demeaning and degrading, saying the term alien. And he understands that they are illegals, but he doesn't like the term alien. So he had this fake imitation of love. And you'll notice that all these liberal Christians, and actually probably most so-called conservative Christians, and, you know, nationalist Christians, they have a worldly definition of love that matches with what the world thinks that love is, and is not. So I don't buy that people know what love is. So I'm just mentioning that. And so this girl was all mad at me because I said, you know, I was basically trashing this guy for being soft and weak and killing himself like an idiot. You shouldn't have killed yourself. But they want to... Foreigner. That's Foreigner? I didn't know that. Anyways, I think I've heard a cover. That's why I'm responding like that. Anyways, yeah, Mariah Carey covered it. She is another person who does not know what love is. She married Nick Cannon, a younger man, and Nick Cannon is a joke, a shame. And they split up. She's married some other guy before that, and miserable person. But anyways, yeah, it's not real. I don't like this stuff. I don't like how there's this pretense that, oh, it's so unloving. You'll notice that people accuse Jesse of hating blacks. That's like the furthest thing from the truth. So let me give you some quick examples of Trump making headway. And I mentioned this before, but Drudge reported that the Supreme Court backs Trump's asylum restrictions, at least temporarily, right? Because there's all these stupid lawsuits, frivolous lawsuits, ACLU lawsuits. We should kick them out of the country, break them up. But asylum restrictions are the toughest yet. According to AP, the Supreme Court is allowing nationwide enforcement of a Trump administration rule that prevents most Central American migrants from seeking asylum in the United States. Yes! The justice's order late Wednesday temporarily undoes a lower court ruling that had blocked the new asylum policy in some states along the southern border. The policy is meant to deny asylum to anyone who passes through another country on the way to the U.S. without seeking protection at those countries, because that's how it works. Ann Coulter pushed this in her book, Adios, America. And she was right. They go from all over the world. They come here pretending to be refugees. What is Ilhan Omar doing coming here as a refugee? She's from Africa. Africa. I even said it like she does. But she should be going, if she wants to be a refugee from Somalia, she should go to Ethiopia or something. not to America. But now we let her in, and now she's wreaking havoc inside the government. What a mess. So that's excellent. AP claims most people crossing the southern border are Central Americans fleeing violence and poverty. I don't buy that, nor would I care if I did buy that, because fleeing violence and poverty doesn't mean you have to come to America. Deal with it. They are largely ineligible under the new rule, as are asylum seekers from Africa, Asia, South America, who arrive regularly at the southern border. Very good. The shift reverses decades of U.S. policy. Thank God. That's anti-American U.S. policy. The administration has said that it wants to close the gap between the initial asylum screening that most people pass and the final decision on asylum that most people do not win. And by the way, they don't even show up to court for those hearings. Big United States Supreme Court win for the border on asylum, President Trump tweeted. And of course, Sonia Sotomayor, the Obama Supreme Court Justice, I think she's Puerto Rican. Well, her parents were. Dissented, and so did that woman who should have retired already, Ruth Bader Ginsburg. So they're dissenting. Sotomayor, according to Wikipedia, is the Supreme Court's first Hispanic and Latina justice. She says, quote, once again, the executive branch has issued a rule that seeks to upend long-standing practices. Yeah, long-standing bad practices. They've created this mess that we're in, dummy, woman. Regarding refugees, so-called, who seek shelter from persecution. That's not persecution that they're seeking shelter from. So-called violence and poverty is not persecution. Lying woman. They're not refugees. Here's background on this story. I read this report on the Hake News during the Jesse Lee Peterson show, Monday through Friday. U.S. District Judge John Tigar in San Francisco, an Obama judge, had blocked Trump's new policy late July. A 3-judge panel in the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals narrowed Tigar's order so that it applied only in Arizona and California, states within the Ninth Circuit. That left the administration free to enforce the policy on so-called asylum seekers arriving in New Mexico and Texas. And I guarantee you that there are lawyers who keep up with this stuff, anti-American lawyers, who tell the illegals, don't come into New Mexico or Texas. Go to California and Arizona where they have to let you in. You don't have to pretend like you sought asylum in some other country on your way here. They're telling them this stuff. The Supreme Court action allows the administration to impose this new policy everywhere where this court case against it continues. But this Tigar guy, the Obama judge, and the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, both liberal judges, they tossed it back and forth amongst each other on whether it should apply to all states or just Arizona and California. But the Supreme Court, thank God, at least until as this court case against them from the ACLU continues against Trump and against America, really, continues, we get to make these people wait and make these people go back and apply somewhere else to be a so-called refugee. So asylum seekers must pass an initial screening called a credible fear interview, and a hurdle that the vast majority clear, unfortunately. Under the new policy, they would fail the test unless they sought asylum in at least one country that they traveled to and were denied. Evidence, please, right? They would be placed on the fast-track deportation proceedings and flown to their home countries at the U.S. expense. Fine with me. We're expending millions of dollars just to put these people through court. And here's what the domestic enemies are saying. The Un-American Civil Liberties Union lawyer, Lee Gallant, who's representing the immigrant advocacy groups, illegal alien advocacy groups in the case, said, this is just a temporary step, and we're hopeful will prevail at the end of the day. The lives of thousands of families are at stake. Lies. Such lies. Anyways, I have quick calls to get to real fast before the show ends. Ali from Los Angeles, first-time caller. Ali, how are you? Hello.
Hello.
Hey, Ali, what's up?
Oh, I wanted to say too that that guy who was talking about like the love or hate or stuff like that.
Yeah, the preacher that committed suicide.
Yeah, that's really ironic, but it's just he doesn't get that there's some people who just love to hate. So like that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
But that's funny that he committed suicide.
Yeah,
but,
it just shows you he doesn't have real love, man.
Yeah, it's the fake love that
exactly
Jesse talks about.
Yep.
And I know it very well because I see it from my mom all the fucking time.
He's a millennial.
But also too.
Yeah, real fast.
The real love is the type of love that Jesse gives to the black community.
Exactly.
And
all
you know
people.
what I mean? Because, well, like I'm saying them specifically because he's black. I'm not black, but I'm just saying them just because people say that he hates black people.
Right.
But he's giving them real tough love because he's saying that stuff to them, hopefully to challenge them.
Yeah, and some of them are waking up. It's so true, man.
But yeah, it's just an example of the real love compared to the fake. One fake love that I heard from Jesse. But yeah, just wanted to comment on that.
I appreciate it, Ali. I gotta go, man. Appreciate you.
Yes, for sure, you too.
All right, take care. Steven and everybody else, I gotta go. It's the end of the show. Tune in to Church with Jesse Lee Peterson, rebuildingtheman.com/church. Real quick, I want to read a quick couple of super chats. Hot computer smell. Congrats on your first debate, James. You did great. Thank you. Thumbs up. And, of course, Noah's Arkansas, Jimmy DM, Sion, and Hey Zeus, smoking on it. Super Dave, Leo X White, Hip Pocket 71. I hope that you screenshotted your super chats because I missed some of them. But one of them said, real fast before I end this, hang with me, Joel. One of them said, Noah's Arkansas said, breaking news. Super Dave broke it off with Ilhan Omar. Now's my chance, Super Dave. Super Dave had a crush on Ilhan Omar. All right, guys. See you in church. Go to Bond Rebuilding the Man YouTube channel or Facebook page. Make sure you subscribe and like both of those pages and platforms. And we will be streaming on Jesse Lee Peterson's Periscope, Twitch, excellent, Mixer, and whatever else. Thanks, guys. Take care.